Vechain to $75 plus? Is it possible? Let's discuss it. 2021 is here and we're already seeing crazy growth in the crypto space. At this point, 100x moves in the market are becoming increasingly more common, and the euphoria of the market starts to kick in across the market. Top coins such as Bitcoin and Ethereum have already seen 10x gains, with the likes of Cardano almost hitting a 50x recently from its low of 3 cents. The further down the list you look, the more speculative things become, but the games become larger and larger. The market is going to continue seeing upwards growth for most of this year until a final parabolic and FOMO run will likely trigger a bear winter around September time. Beyond that, it will likely be a few years before we see another bull run once the next Bitcoin halving triggers another supply shock. The recent institutional investment into the space has already likely confirmed a long-term legitimacy of cryptocurrency, and the technology provided by so many protocols is a very strong sign of future potential in the market. The world has an ever-increasing amount of issues growing, including massive inflation of main currencies in the world such as the dollar, issues with increasing complexity of the global economy, and many other issues that the blockchain aims to address in the future. In this video, we'll discuss how Vechain could potentially reach $75 plus in the future if it receives full adoption for its utility in the supply chain industry. Make sure to watch the video till the end for all the essential information. This is not financial advice and is for entertainment purposes only. We always stress that you do your own due diligence. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to Crypto Maximalist. Let's begin. Vechain is a protocol that is putting its focus on supply chain management, which is an industry which is already valued at around $50 trillion when including all goods and services, the infrastructure to move them, and the storage facilities required in transition. This estimate is only set to grow in the future and is one of the reasons we're so bullish on Vechain. Vechain's blockchain technology is designed to integrate with the supply chain to track all goods and services of the adopter and store the records immutably on the blockchain. The use of RFID tags is used to store data and information about not only the products themselves, but also the conditions that they are stored in various points of transition, the quality of the goods, the destination and GPS routes of all the goods, amongst other finer points about all aspects of the supply chain. This is an incredible utility for businesses because it allows them to track their goods with records that are extremely unlikely to be inaccurate, and they can view all manner of information about the status of the goods in transition from the blockchain at any time. For example, companies could monitor where a certain supply shipment is anywhere in the world through the use of the technology, and could also see what conditions the supplies are stored in. This is very useful technology, especially with food storage, and in the East, the quality of food goods is incredibly important. Because of the large amount of seafood eaten, it's important to know how food has been stored in transition and to its point of vendor, or where it's sold to a customer. If food has been stored in poor conditions, there are ways to check this through the use of Vechain and act accordingly. And this sort of utility could save businesses potentially billions a year in damaged or lost shipments. This also has utility for the consumer, because they could view where their food may have come from through the use of dApps built on the smart contract layer added to Vechain, where any information stored on the blockchain could be accessed and used for the benefit of the customer. Being able to view where food has come from and being stored effectively could add a useful layer of trust with the consumer, or with a fellow business in the supply chain. These sorts of solutions could be incredibly valuable to a business, as it allows them to adapt and improve their supply chain management to minimize the problems that could arise and save them a great deal of capital as a result. From these examples, you can clearly see the power that Vechain has, and the potential utility it could provide for businesses and consumers alike in the future. Vechain is a protocol that has a truly massive amount of potential in the future. The main reason we're so bullish on it is because it has the two pillars we look for in every cryptocurrency that will have longevity and success, and those two pillars are use case and adoption. If both these pillars work in tandem for a project, the chance of it becoming a massive success in the future are substantially increased. Without a clear and obvious use case, it's unlikely a crypto will have any real longevity in the future, as there are thousands of cryptos now competing for similar markets. If a project has a clear vision for what it's trying to achieve and provides a simple and effective way to achieve that goal, its chances for the second pillar, adoption, are substantially increased. This is something that Vechain has in abundance, as it's well known that the world is becoming increasingly more complex as time goes on. The supply chain industry in turn is becoming larger and larger as the global economy emerges into the future, and Vechain is a project that is set to capitalize on the potential going forward. Its supply chain management protocol is incredibly powerful for businesses and consumers alike to track the whereabouts and condition of their goods, and this clear use case is one of the reasons we're so bullish on Vechain. The second pillar, which is adoption, is probably the most important aspect of a cryptocurrency. It's well known in the cryptocurrency space by now that there are thousands of projects out there, and some of them have the most insane technology ever seen in the cryptocurrency space. But without meaningful levels of adoption for the crypto, the project and protocol will likely die or be abandoned. This is because if there are no actual users actually adopting and using the platform, it doesn't matter how good it is. A perfect example of the power of adoption is Bitcoin and Ethereum, which both have relatively older technologies at work. Bitcoin is a level 1 blockchain, meaning it uses proof of work as its consensus mechanism to verify transactions. Ethereum is a level 2 blockchain that has higher levels of utility but is still suffering from its proof of work mechanism whilst trying to upgrade to Ethereum 2.0. Both of these projects in comparison to a large amount of the space are fairly low tech, but because of the sheer amount of adoption that they've garnered from being some of the first to market in their space, they've benefited massively in the long run. This is something that Vechain is also proving to have a massive amount of potential with, as it's the largest blockchain currently dealing with supply chain management by far. Cardano is aiming to deal with this issue also, but their technology is most likely still a few years away from being fully integrated for its utility, and Vechain already has a long list of partnerships with top companies using its blockchain. The fact that Vechain is already receiving a large amount of use for its specific use case in its target market gives it a huge advantage, and if the network effect continues to be realised, huge adoption could be fast approaching as it continues to get used by more and more top companies. The fact that Vechain already has use from some of the largest companies in the world, including BMW and Walmart, shows the level of clientele that has already been achieved, and if it reaches full adoption across the hundreds of large companies, the market cap of Vechain will skyrocket in the future. Vechain's ability to foster more trust and cooperation in the world is one of the reasons that we're so bullish on it, as it allows for all goods and services to be verified at every stage of their life cycle on the blockchain. Scams and inauthentic products are still a massive industry in the world, but with the use of Vechain, these sorts of malpractices could be ironed out with immutable records of how and where the goods have been made and stored, how they've been held in transition, and their condition upon arrival. More trust in the world is definitely something that can only help in terms of business, and this utility is one of the reasons Vechain has a huge amount of potential in the future. Taking a lot of the guesswork out of working with others and by being able to verify their goods via the blockchain will promote fair practice by all and encourage other businesses to work with those who use Vechain. This trend would be very beneficial for Vechain if it played out, because it would mean that businesses would prefer to work with those they can fully trust who are using the Vechain protocol, which would mean more adoption for Vechain in the long term. This is the kind of network effect that Vechain is likely to instill as its adoption increases by large businesses. When you consider all the massive potential that Vechain has to offer, you can begin to calculate how high the market cap of Vechain would have to reach in order to be valued around $75 per token. Whilst this is not likely for at least 5 to 10 years into the future, it's definitely possible when you consider the sheer size of the market that they are targeting, and also their ever-increasing network effect and adoption. Currently Vechain has a market cap of around $3 billion, and for it to reach $10, that would put it in the region of $600 billion market cap. This sort of price target is definitely achievable in the next few years considering the fundamentals of the bull run and also the likely huge increase in adoption for Vechain. In order for it to reach $75 from there, the market cap would need to reach 7.5 times the market cap at $10, which brings the total market cap at that stage to around $4.5 trillion. Now remember, this sounds like an astronomical number at this point in cryptocurrency's life cycle as a whole, but the entire market will likely be valued at hundreds of trillions of dollars in the next 10 to 20 years, so a market cap of $5 trillion for Vechain is not that outlandish in that instance. That would also take Vechain to around 10% of the supply chain market, which is what we'd consider full adoption for Vechain, and a very reasonable percentage. If Vechain captured any more of the market share in the future of the supply chain industry and started getting used by virtually every company in the world, you can quickly see just how high each VET token could potentially go in the future. Whilst all of this is not likely in the next 5 years, in the long run Vechain has a huge amount of potential to be successful. So what do you think of Vechain? Does it have the potential to hit the heights that so many believe that it can? Drop a comment down below and share your price target for Vechain, along with the reasons behind it. We're always interested to know what you think. If you'd like to support the channel more directly, you can sign up to our Patreon via the link in the description below, where you can get access to our private Discord. Please like and subscribe. We are Crypto Maximalists.